Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. Today I have a guest for the first time that I don't know at all. Yeah, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I'm super excited to have him. He is, actually I'm not going to pigeonhole him and call him a wedding photographer, so I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Atit Amin.
Hi guys, this is Atit. So this is a little introduction. I'm a photographer, videographer, based here in Los Angeles, California. I run, a wedding videography and photography company here as well. Mainly doing destination South Asian weddings. So I've been doing that since 2014, and I've been pretty much full-time creative my entire life. I never really had like a 9-to-5 job.
Really?
So yeah,
Damn.
This is like I've been doing this since like early stage of like middle school, high school.
Where did you go to college?
There's a small liberal arts college called Westminster College,
Okay.
and I played college football there. So that's like the reason why I kind of went there. Is just I didn't really care to go to like a big school for filmmaking and all that. It's just like I just love football so much. So I like just sets tone. I'm just like, my coaches said you weren't going to play, all that, and I'm like, high school coaches. So I went to the first college that said, you know what, you can kind of play here.
Were your parents like, what the fuck are you doing?
My parents honestly probably questioned a lot, but at that point they're just like, let's just let the boy do his thing, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of, in the Brown culture is just like a lot, how it is, like doctor number 1, number 2 engineer, and number like 5, 6, like, all the way down there you probably have tech or something, and then all the way bottom like 7-Eleven, terrorist, and then like creative. Like that's probably like the Brown.
Yeah. Football is always a strange one.
Yeah.
That's like a, so how did that come to a close where you're like, all right, I'm not playing this anymore? Was it an injury or?
No. It's just college. I played all 4 years, luckily. So yeah. And then obviously not pro. So it's just like played for all 4 years, and luckily no injuries or anything like that.
That is good, because I was talking about it the other day. I think I was watching the Chiefs game or something, and I was like, football's cool because it will probably get you in the best shape of your life. Yeah. But holy shit, like the downside is so scary. Yeah. Where, you take one hit or something. I understand like the protocols are getting better, like, everything's protecting the player, but it's so terrifying, especially as a parent. Yeah. Did your parents come and watch you like a lot?
My mom refused to come to any football games. My dad, like if I played cricket, they will come to every game, but my mom literally specifically said like, I cannot see my son get hit. That's her reason, but I just feel like she had no interest. But like I knew it was a big difference because like after I went to college, they tried to go to like every game they could, just because that's like they wanted to see me. I guess they missed me, but they actually went to the games.
So you're local to that area? Like the family was local to?
No, my college is 2 hours away from it. Maybe almost 3 hours, I would say.
And then you graduate from there. And then what was the move?
So I had like I think in college I was literally teaching classes at my college. I was like so self-taught. Like my college was not great at photo, video, or any type of curriculum in that way. So I was like just making YouTube videos, vlogs, whatever you name it. Like
what year is this?
2016 I graduated high school, so it'll be 2017.
Damn.
And then I pretty much was sitting, I was like on my own. Like my parents didn't want to like, they only took care of like the college stuff. But like, I was really like, okay, I need to start making money, because after college, like what the hell am I going to do, right, to make income? Because I don't see myself getting a 9-to-5 job. There's a famous like Steve Jobs quote: "The people that made your phone is no smarter than you." So it's just like, I felt like, I see so many professionals out there, filmmakers and all that. I had like this delusional mindset where I'm just like, if they could do it, why can't I? And then like, it luckily like told me, like, okay, let's see what we can do to make money until I get to the next step of like what I wanted to do. So I just started looking into it, and then that's how I got into weddings. I was like, okay, this is lucrative. But how I got into weddings was just like, okay, no one's hiring me. I've been trying to advertise weddings since high school, but no one wanted to obviously trust me with their special day. It was not, I like I said, it's not, no shame on this, but I did steal some other wedding videographers like portfolio video and threw it on there's an app called Thumbtack. So like I just just started advertising someone else's videos on there, and then I was broke, so I didn't have money for like the bids. That's how they make their money. Like a bride will come in, put like, okay, I need a videographer, and you can bid for the jobs. I didn't have the money for that. So also faked that as well.
Oh, so like the Thumbtack Pro thing? Or
yeah.
It is?
So like the professionals, that's how they make their money because you pay per bid. So I had no money for that, but they had this loophole where it's just like if you refer a vendor, you get like 10 bids or whatever. So I just made fake accounts and just got like 100. So I just faked it till I made it. And then I just knew my skill set was, decent enough to not even like accomplish the videos, but be better. So like the first like 10 of my first clients, I'm sorry, I definitely spoofed you, but they all enjoyed their videos.
But it worked out.
It worked out, luckily.
I feel like you have to do that to some extent. Like you have to have a little bit of a pump fake, and then it's like, hey, I'm actually not bad. I understand I got you here with a lie, but but that's pretty wild.
No, like that was like honestly risky if I wasn't cocky. Like even I say like my skill set wasn't good as a professional. This guy was like from Tennessee. He was like doing a lot of these weddings, but I shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, I definitely did not try to like scam anyone out or anything, because I just realized like that's how I started like affording my equipment. Like everyone was giving me deposits, so I was just like putting that straight back into videography, photography, like buying batteries, SD cards, everything to get me right. And then that's the one thing. It's just like if I was like a bad person, like there's no way to track down like after they paid me. Like I'm just like, wow, people need to really watch out.
People, the wedding bit. I mean, when you're spending that much money and you're trying to make so many decisions as fast as you can, I feel like it's a bit like, how do I just get this done? How do I just get this done? And I know there's a bunch of people like scammers are like this part of America. But damn, the sun is coming in. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
But it makes sense, right? Creating a fake profile, having some other stuff. Did anyone like question it? Like, hey, I saw this over
one
here.
time I did get caught red-handed, and luckily YouTube had like on the end of the video he had his like logo. So it was just like one bride like watched the full thing, and the last 5 seconds had the logo. Then she asked about it, but I quickly on YouTube trimmed it down and had to explain the story. Oh, this is I started my career with this guy. You can ask him all this, and I like really faded. She's like, "Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. Like people have to start somewhere." And then that video actually, like that bride video was the first viral video for me.
Which one was that?
It was a West Virginia wedding.
Okay.
Middle of nowhere near Pennsylvania, where my business was kind of set up near my college. But yeah, that video went like I think 100,000 views on Facebook, and then like 250,000 on YouTube. That was my first viral. This was before I even had an Instagram, like for my wedding account.
I'm popping now.
Yeah. Well, I think I had an ego a little bit in that sense, but like the fact is that bride could have been like, wow, you were trying to scam me. And then all of a sudden her video was so good, it went viral. Yeah. So full circle, I guess.
And then, so what year is that at this point? Like, so you're starting to get some traction. You're starting to get some business.
2017 and 2018, I would say. That was like my first real year to like get my own gigs and not have to like use Thumbtack.
And sole contractor from this point. You're not working with like a company or anything like that. No. Okay. And then at what point do you make the move to Los Angeles?
2022. I always wanted to move to Los Angeles.
Oh, shit. So similar year.
Yeah. So it was just I was in college. 2020 actually signed a lease. I got an Airbnb for like 6 months. I signed a lease for it, and then obviously COVID happened. But I always wanted to move to Los Angeles. One of my good friends here, Brian, was the first person I met in Los Angeles. Took a Spirit airline flight from Pittsburgh to Los Angeles by myself, backpack only. Stay in Long Beach at like some cat lady's house for like $50 a night.
What?
Yeah, it was just like I always wanted to move out here, but like I just didn't know how is it going to be possible. But I kept remembering the quotes like, these people around me are no better than me. Yeah. So it's just like, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And like, that's the one quote I also put into, I just hung it up on my wall, but the quote was like, build your own dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. Yeah. So I was just like, I got to really just focus on this. And I got really delusional in a good way where, I'm luckily now like financially free and all that just by believing in myself and the confidence with that.
It's delusion. And it makes sense, right? Yeah. Where it's just like, no one else is going to see this vision. Yeah. And even like all of this shit, like, look at this, like all of this crap where it's like, what is this? If my parents were to see this, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, does this make money? And it's like, nah, it doesn't. But the idea is eventually, something may happen, whether it's like I continue to do this or something else, something will happen where if I don't do it, then it for sure won't happen. Yeah. And that's the weird part of like delusion, especially in an expensive ass city like this, where it's like, can I even afford to continue to be delusional? Yeah. In Texas, I wish I did it more because it was like, oh, I can afford to live here. Yeah. Or I can, I just live at home and do this. But when I was 23 and all that, it was like, I need a 9 to 5, you know, I need to do this. I need to do this. And I was doing stand up here and there. 2020 rolls around, and then I started doing, you know, like the virtual dance shows where it was like, this is odd. And then I said the wrong dance team that won first place. And it was this whole, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, like there's no human connection here. I'm literally sitting behind a computer. Like this, I don't like this at all. Yeah. And so then we moved over to LA, and you know, it's been going solid. How have you feel like you've acclimated to LA? Do you feel like it's boosted your portfolio?
100. Well, like, and not like, because I always do like weddings outside Los Angeles. I haven't done I've done 2 weddings in Los Angeles, but not in like actual Los Angeles. I did a couple in like Orange County, and then I did one in Malibu, but I haven't done a first Los Angeles wedding even being based. It's just like the market here is just so like, people will pay me thousands of dollars more to go to, you know, the Midwest, like Chicago or something, because like they'll have to get married at like a hotel, you know, a place at, you know, a conference center, right? So it's just like, you know, they see the videos and photos from me, and they're just like, wow, this guy can make a conference center made for like, you know, business owner, like, you know, whatever, look good. Like we got to have him there. So it's just like, you know, if I can make a conference room like look good, like imagine like the destination weddings, stuff like that. So I've been taking like, you know, the less pay for like destination weddings, but you know, in the sense of that. But here in Los Angeles, I would say like I use it as more of like the future proofing, right? I think you mentioned it earlier where, you know, like you can really expand and do a lot more than what you do in your like your hometown.
Yeah, you get pigeonholed by the people you know.
Yeah, so it's like, and I moved after college. So my college was like 1 hour north of Pittsburgh. So I moved to Pittsburgh immediately afterwards because I started getting a lot of destination weddings and like a lot of weddings outside of Pittsburgh immediately after college. So started doing that, and then I just like I can't like justify going to Los Angeles, paying a lot of rent if I'm not going to be home. I took like 300 flights in 2021 alone.
Sorry, something I messed up on was just like, how did you end up in photography or videography post playing football?
Yeah,
like,
so
it, like, did you see someone? Did someone like inspire you, or what was it?
So what it was like, starting off, like, you know, being the brown boy, like in, you know, high school, I was the only Indian kid growing up. So that's the one thing. It was like just trying to fit in. But, you know, I tried everything. You know, I mentioned about my 17-year-old koi fish, but, you know, I was like, what should I do for a living? Like, what gives me purpose, right? So I was, you know, like every high school kid, like trying to figure out your life after, you know, and college.
In high school?
Yeah. Yeah, like figure out what you want to do, go to college for that major or what that. So I was just like, you know, I wanted to be a marine biologist or like work at an aquarium or something because I like the fish. I like, that was my hobby. Like, but I started making like travel films, you know, like every Indian family like goes, you know, to like, you know, on their family trips and whatnot. And then, you know, I started making videos. I was always, me and my brother like played with like stuffed animals like growing up. So we always made, videos and like, you know, stuff growing up, like home videos with our toys. But so photography, videography was always like kind of part of my life, but like not because brown parents are like, you're not gonna make money out of this, like, so like don't even think about it. So I was just like, okay, I won't think about it. And then started making the travel films off my iPhone. And then my high school teacher was like, I was showing her like my Paris trip on like to her like during like a class like assignment.
Were you recording this with like an iPhone or
iPhone? Everything iPhone, edited on iPhone. So it was just like she's like, oh wow, this video is really good. Would you mind, you know, editing a motivation video for like the entire school? My school was small, like 1,000 people for the entire school, but you know, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm up for the task. That was summer where she asked me, and it was like the week before like it was supposed to be played. Didn't even start on it, so I was like, fuck it, like just like let me just steal one off YouTube and like go from there. Like I'm always the art of stealing, right? So I put video by Atit Amin of it, and then the video plays, and this is the only time where I really like in high school. I really didn't like middle school, man. Like I really didn't have a friend group. I had like I was buffling around like friend groups to friend groups trying to like fit in. That's why I played sports. I think that's the only like friendship I really got was playing sports and all that. Even that I didn't really feel like I belonged because I wasn't like the most athletic and all that. So that video played, and you know, everyone was cheering. Like it was a cool like hype video, and on the end of it I completely forgot it was a video by Atit Amin on the end of it. And then once I played, it was just like almost a standing ovation. It was like crazy. And that's that moment right there and then I'm like, that was not my video, but I got to figure out how to do this for the rest of my life. So that was the reason. That's how it happened. And like The keynote speaker was a motivational speaker afterward. That was like the keynote guy. We had like a private meeting afterwards with like a whole bunch of other like students. And he straight up asked me, he's like, would you do this for a living? Like, that video was good. And I just said, no, it seemed hard. And immediately I said that, like, I wanted to puke because I was just like, why did I even say that? Yeah. Like, so I really just like, after I said that, I was just like, no, I take that back. But like, tunnel vision after that.
A little bit of a realization.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second. I'm going to close the blind because I'm overexposed. Yeah. Brown people are artsy folk. I was part of like the announcement crew in high school.
Yeah.
And so we would make these videos, all these inspirational videos, and I would take all these like Eric Thomas audio files, rip it off of YouTube to MP3.
Yeah.
And then we would go to like, we would record the football team working out or doing drills and then put it on there. And it would, there was this traction and I was like, oh shit, this kind of works.
Yeah.
I think I do like something like this. It's just, I never pursued it further in college.
Yeah.
I joined a dance team. I would MC now and then, and I never liked dancing. Like I was just like, people, how people love dancing. They're like, we should do this for fun.
Yeah.
It's like, no, fuck that. Like I want to compete because I played basketball and it was just like, I love having that thrill of competition, competing, like putting effort in and winning.
Yeah.
And so anytime someone was like, it doesn't matter if we win or lose. It's like, fuck that. You know how many hours we're putting into this shit? We have to win.
Yeah.
And then there was no like artsy side of it outside of just dance. It was just that. And then, just regular college stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually post college, it was like, damn, I should have kept, being on that wheel of at least creating something.
Yeah.
So then what happened after that? You just pick up a camera and you're like, all right, you know what? I'm going to create content.
Yeah, basically I was just trying everything to like, just because I always want, like, my end goal is to be, directing, films and narrations. Okay. That's like my end goal because I know I can't do weddings for the rest of my life and I don't plan to do weddings for the rest of my life. But I think that competition thing, like you mentioned earlier, is just like inserted in my brain, like, from football to afterwards, it's just like, I always feel like in the wedding industry, I'm the underdog. I just feel like there's always like these people that everyone look up to, this and that. Like they always show me to inspo. But I feel like with weddings, I just feel very competitive in nature because I feel like my stuff is good. Like I talk my shit. Like I my videos are very unique and stuff like that. But I have a sense of like I have to prove something. I don't know who yet, but like I have to prove myself that like I'm good. I think I've like I had like a self-realization because I feel like in 2 years, when I moved here, I haven't really progressed in my personal life as much as my wedding business. So I was just like, what is making me like addicted to weddings and like all of that in a good way? I don't feel like I'm like a sociopath or something like that, where it's just like weddings. But
that's, if you want like true success, I feel like that's what it has to be sometimes.
Yeah. So I had a self-realization. Like I actually had when I was a destination wedding in January this year, we had like the after party with like the couple. The couple invited us, and the bride just we're all drunk, and we all like were talking, and the bride straight up asked me, "So why do you do weddings?" And I'm just like, I don't know why. And then she's just like, I like spieled on about like this and that, and she's like, you need validation. I think that's what it is. And it hit me right there and then. I'm just like, yeah, I have validation issues.
Interesting.
So I think that's what it is.
Did you ever learn card tricks when you were young?
Card tricks?
Yeah, like would you show people card tricks?
No.
Okay, never mind then. any like South Asian person that I've met in Los Angeles that does like comedy, when I moved here and I started meeting all these people that were doing comedy, I was like, my immediate reaction, because I'm a bit of an asshole, where it's like, you ain't funny, you ain't funny. And then there's sometimes where I used to ask people, I asked dudes this, where I'd be like, you learned card tricks, didn't you? Because it's like that early sign of like wanting to the
prove
attention.
Yourself,
yeah, like, hey, like, look.
Because I feel like it's maybe it comes from like our parents like not appreciating us what we do, and like they're just like beating us like, all right, you don't get an A here, you're a B+ student.
He's making the fist hand gesture. Hopefully no one got beat. But the guest that I had last night, a friend of mine, is just like that kind of I see now I'm doing it where that pressure.
I will admit my parents never beat me. But I was just like the mindset, like beating, dark. Like it was like mindset, like words I think hurt more than like physical. Yeah. Anything is just my parents. I always felt like kind of disappointing not bringing home that A. But, you know, it was just like a perfect example was like, you know, it was scholarship night, you know, a lot of these kids that are like academically or whatever applied, you know, they'll win a scholarship. But this is when I started to make my own videos. I made like a senior, you know, high school video. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Like I was working at the gym and, you know, a random stranger came up to me. He's like, oh, yo, I saw your video on Facebook. And like that video played for like, you know, for my family and stuff like that. But the fact is I didn't win a single scholarship that night. My parents started like crying because they just like, you know, they didn't care about the video. They just didn't like the fact I didn't get a scholarship.
It's what they know,
yeah.
You know, like, and I get it. Like you said it earlier about this idea of like, you got to become a doctor or engineer. And it's like, I fully understand why they came here and they said that because that's what they know works. You know, like I want my kid to be successful. They don't have to take out the loans and I have to do this and that. But now with the field of art, with the field of like the internet and stuff and how crazy college loans have gotten, you know, the curriculum and stuff, like why would I want to leave college, you know, X amount in debt when I can create content, have a business, something that I like, be my own boss and still, you know, be making the money that I want to make.
Yeah. And like, that's why I never blame my parents for like not supporting me because they didn't know about the money and all that. I didn't even know about the money. Like I didn't do it for the money at all. But, you know, I have to take notes from my parents. Our parents came from in America with mostly no money, no English, anything like that. And they were delusional to do that. Why can't be delusional to do photography, videography? I just don't understand that. But the full circle story with like, you know, my parents is just like, I remember telling my mom I want to be a photographer, videographer. And it was a car ride, you know, in her like used Lexus, whatever it is. And she's just like, you're going to be broke as a joke. Like she was apparently joking, but like I took offense to all that. Started crying in the car. She called one of my close family friends, mom, and she's like, listen to this delusional kid like this. And then mom was just like, don't, like, if this makes him happy, let him do it. Yeah. Like fast forward, like me not listening to my mom, you know, her car broke down. With the money I made from photography and videography from not listening to her, I bought her a new car.
Damn.
So that was a full circle moment. That same car where it broke down, where I told her, you know, I want to do a photo, video, you know, I was able to get her a new car. Yeah. So, and you know, now this year, that mom that, you know, she called, I filmed her daughter's wedding in May. That was literally my favorite wedding because, you know, my parents were there, my brother was there. All the family and the community that raised me, you know, it was the first community wedding, I would say, in like my hometown where like I went to high school prom. That was the venue, so it was just like a full circle moment to finally show off like this is what I do for a living.
That is fun.
Yeah.
My parents have yet to see me do. I mean, it's weird, right? Where it's like I don't want them to see me do some of this stuff. You know, like some of the stuff that I'm saying, the character that I have to be when I'm on stage. Yeah. You know, like my parents always thought I was like this super reserved kid. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm out there talking. You know, it's just like when I'm at home, I don't know who to be. Especially like the era that we grew up in, where you know Indian
I'm exactly
wasn't cool.
The same.
Indian wasn't cool, right? And now, Indian people can do whatever. Yeah. I'm sure in a couple of years we'll see the most Indian filmmakers we've ever seen, everything. Like they're
it's all coming out.
They're coming, and it's like, oh shit, you know, like I wish I was a part of this wave, but at the same time, it's fine. You know, like I can't have any regrets. So when did you pick up the camera? You start doing some weddings. What about the like? Let's say, from what it sounds like, you were doing 80% weddings. What was the other 20% of your portfolio?
I would say it was originally from 2020. It was just like maybe 50% weddings, but like 50% I was doing like commercials. I was working with brands. You know, I worked with Porsche. You know, these were like a lot of things. And then the one thing with the corporate side of commercial videography is just like if you're not like a really big influencer or anything like that, like you really don't get a say in the content you make. With weddings, I think I got really attracted to the fact that this is my brand. This is something I start from scratch. This is my baby. People hire me for the visionary I can create for them. You know, and I have full say in everything I put out, and I have full control of it.
When you're doing commercial stuff, is there ever like a clash in vision where it's like
all the time? Yeah, because you know, these marketing professionals, you know, that never picked up a camera, they have a vision in their head and using you as like kind of a puppet. So you know, for the example, I did a spec ad for something. Forgot what it was, a water bottle company, or a suitcase company. Okay. We shot one scene 15 times because she didn't like how the latch looked on the lighting. So it was just like a very type A. Maybe it was just that, but this is the horror stories I hear all the time from. They're like, oh, that's normal, like hearing playback. But at the same time, I'm such a fast person and have low intention rates and all that. So it's just like, can we move on to the next scene?
Nah.
And then like the funny part was like in that whole commercial, we didn't use that shot at all that we took like 15 shots with. So that was like the part of me that was just like doing all that for like 2021 and 2. I was just like there, but then weddings were picking up so big for me. I was finally, because I actually didn't start with Indian weddings at all. Like my first like Indian wedding I didn't even shoot. I was playing college football. I had like at that point a team that shoots for me. So that was like my first Indian wedding, but that was not really my first official one. It was a viral TikTok that I did like what people think of me as a wedding videographer, what my weddings actually are. So I like took like photos of like, uncles and like aunties, like, like with that, like so it went viral, and Indian couple found me. They're like, hey, can you do our wedding in Columbus, Ohio? And they saw my name, Atit Amin. They're like, do you happen to be Gujarati? I'm like, yeah, I'm fully Gujarati. They're like, oh, bro, why don't you do Indian weddings? I'm like, no one would freaking hire me. So it's just like, now I finally had one in my portfolio, and they loved the personality and everything I brought to the table. Literally, the entire friend group booked me afterwards, and I did like, after that, it was just like, now we're here doing the AJ podcast.
the first one is always odd, right? Where it's like, how do I get that first wedding, that first thing? I met with someone yesterday actually, and he's starting up this like Indian wedding business under a larger umbrella of a white wedding business company, which they do DJing, all the sound and emceeing. And I applied to be an MC, where it's like, I used to do this, I can do it again. If it's money, then I'm down. And it's also, if you're in front of people, it's so much better than trying to fight every battle on the internet. And he was like, yeah, I had to move over to Indian weddings because it was just so much more lucrative. Like, there's people pump so much money into
the brown wedding tax. Yeah.
And he was like, it's so much better.
Yeah.
But I was like, but it helps that you have this white network, like people that already have a network. Because finding those gigs, I feel like is the hardest part of all of it. Yeah,
one of my brown DJ friends is like, the whites keep the lights on. That's his quote, because like, he would do like, short gigs for like, like he was based out of Cleveland. He would go to the Cleveland Browns like facility like, once a month or something, do like a thing, but they'll pay as much as like, a brown wedding for 8-10 hours. And just like, I would say like the brown wedding tax is like, I admit before, like to you, like I am part of the problem, but they're so hard to do. It's just like long. And then, the experience that I bring on is just like, once you see a price tag of something, you're like, why does this cost so much? But you see, like I do stuff that no one would ever hear about, like, bride's reception dress ripped, and like I had to sew it back together. Like, there's like stuff like a timeline was like 2 hours behind. I was able to catch it up, and those little things that you pay extra for. I like to think of it called like insurance, I guess. But once you pay a higher price tag, we do more than just photo video. We bring the vibes, energy, and all that to make kind of like the experience. I always focus 99% on experience.
So, but you never had a 9-to-5?
Never.
So you never like, went through the corporate thing of having a boss that did this and that?
No.
Interesting. We were talking earlier this morning, and it's like a lot of people in this wedding space, they should have had that.
Yeah.
Because it teaches this level of perfection.
Yeah.
Like, like I get it. It's jokes about the, whites keep the lights on, but they also teach you a certain level of like precision. And I'm not saying it has to be white, but just corporate America in general, where they teach you this precision.
I think that's why I think football played a big role in my life, because, I've seen the leadership from my coaches. I've seen the leadership of the players. And I always felt like I had a leadership role because, even though I wasn't the star wide receiver in my college, like, my coaches always appraised me on the scout team. They're like, there's this kid that, had something to prove, and like he brings everyone, because if you're that one dude that brings the energy, everyone else will kind of absorb that. Even if like someone from scout team, like a freshman that never played, and they see a senior working hard, it will motivate them to be like, wow, if this kid is like delusional like that, and
yeah, I saw your story from probably a couple weekends ago where you did a wedding. It might have been last weekend. Sorry, these days have gone really long, but and you were like dancing on the dance floor, and then you got those, you know, whatever, 2 or 3 people start dancing, then you back up, then you take the picture, you know, like you almost like set the
undercover guest is like my
like
philosophy.
But it makes sense.
It works.
Right?
Like,
I'm here for this. I'm here for the other 20% that you know, you're not necessarily paying for. I don't have to dance and do all this stuff, but that's what I mean. When you have been part of these weddings, have you noticed a lot of, whether it's like the planner, the caterer, or whatever other gig there is, have you seen like, you know, you're missing a level of precision. Like there's something about you that like 100%, you need to be a little bit better at.
Yeah, no, I met.
And you don't have to say any names.
No, I definitely can't expose myself. But yeah, there's a lot of people that, you know, should not be in the industry. Of course, I think we all have bad apples, but there's some people that definitely bring the brown tax and take advantage of it. I'll like to like the people. Like I said, the one thing I brought up to you is just like earlier, but before this podcast was just like, when you hire a brown person to do brown wedding, they work extremely hard. But you know, some people that, you know, put, you know, South Asian specialists and they're not South Asian. Yeah. Why did you even put that in the bio in the first place? But it's just like, you know, there's people that only do Indian weddings, but they're not Indian. So it's just like, I don't know if they're capitalizing the brown tax. And I originally I was like upset about that at first. And then they did the Canadian like Shark Tank, where this white couple brought in like their version of boba, and they were pitching it to like the Shark Tank. And the guy from he was like, "This is not okay." And then it happened to be an Indian girl that like that owned a bottle company that went for it, and then everyone backlashed, and then she backed out of the deal. But I feel like that could be the same thing like here in the India. Like I just feel like your work should speak for itself, and you know. There's a lot of people in photo, video, you know, planners, all that, you know, just say, yeah, we do Indian weddings. But like, I'm Indian myself, but I don't claim to be an expert. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like, I know what I'm capable of, but I'm very respectful. And you know, Indian weddings are hard. If you're able to do it, like, good for you. Yeah. But, you know, I just feel like you shouldn't be having to pitch yourself as a specialist or whatnot for that.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that to me earlier, I thought about it, and it was like, do I mind? You know, I get it. Yes, there's always going to be sharks in the water where there's blood, but like a couple that we know in San Francisco, they were telling us about these two white girls that used to be like Deloitte consultants. Yeah. And they're like amazing wedding planners. And it's like, I get it. Yeah. You know, you don't actually have to be Indian to know
100%. Like, there's a lot of people.
As long as you're just good.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. A lot of my vendor friends are not Indian, and they do amazing Indian wedding, you know, like photos, videos, planning, all that. But they don't have to advertise that. They don't have to. They just, you know, let the referrals come in. They let the website, they let the work speak for itself. Like they never had to put brown wedding specialists on their bios. And I think that's just like triggers me just a little bit that, you know, people do that. Yeah. But they just let the work speak for itself, and it'll come to you. If you're a person, a planner or whatever, just let it happen and let it be natural, and don't have to like convince people that you're there, because like I said, you're getting married. Yeah. If you see that into, you know, a bio, or if you're looking for a planner or stuff like that, like that brings up more questions than answers, right? You just be like, oh, now I just realized you're not Indian, and that brings up more questions versus like if you're able just to condone business without having to.
Like I already know how dope you are without having that title.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Even on these like when you go to these hotels to find space, and it's like weddings, and then the subsection is Indian weddings. Yeah, and it's like damn, you know, like they know how many people it's gonna be, all this stuff, and sometimes it helps where it's like, I want you to at least know the beast that's coming your way. Yeah, the venue that we selected, it's cool. You know, I do think it's very pretty and all that stuff, but I don't think it was made for like a 4-day event where you got to bring in all the, you know, it's just a canvas. It's a pretty canvas. You got to bring in chairs. You got to bring in decor. You got to bring all this stuff in one by one. Yeah. And it's like, damn, you know, like I wish this place just catered to Indian weddings a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the one big issue in the U.S. like wedding industry market for Indian weddings. There's no venues that, besides a hotel, like, you know, with the built-in conference center, is just having 200 to 300 people, like even 500 people at an event. You know, it's just like, how are you going to manage all that transportation if you're going to have like an actual wedding venue that's actually built for a wedding? So like, you know, people that, you know, get their weddings, you know, done at a wedding venue versus like a hotel, like they have a good time, but like the logistic nightmares is just like bringing auntie and uncle that are in a wheelchair, you know, that can't be mobile. You know, I always say like a lot of people would take, you know, are not selfish, or like, I rather have my, you know, family members enjoy it and not have to worry about transportation. and to sacrifice like having a beautiful venue.
Yeah.
And good for them for like making that decision.
Yeah, that was definitely something that we went through. Because when we finally had selected the hotel and we were like, fuck it, let's just do the reception at the hotel because it's just so convenient. I understand we don't like the carpet and we don't like the light fixtures and stuff like that.
Decor people, I have mad respect. Like the fact they can transform, like I said, this place is meant for conferences, you know, like, you know, keynote, all that, right? For 9-to-5 business people. It's just like the fact they can transform that into like a visionary, it's like insane. It's just like good for them. And like the fact is like, I have a lot of designer friends, and the fact they can take their idea and put it into paper and then like build it out, I just can't. Like I couldn't imagine doing that for like photo, video, like, you know, have to like make renderings, all that just to pitch it to my couples. Like
that's what helps with the portfolio.
Yeah. Portfolio, but like, you know, you're trying to make something unique every wedding, right? For like a designer, they have to come up from scratch.
Yeah.
So they have to just show, like, they have to pitch the vision without even showing like the final product. Like, okay, this is a rendering, a 3D rendering of like the flowers, but how do you know the flowers are going to look like that, right? Then you have vision boards, color palettes, all that. Like, that's just mind blowing that they're able to execute that. And like, I think every, you know, couple should, you know, not underestimate like a decor person, because they can make and break your, you know, wedding for sure.
Insane. It is insane. There's been times I walked into, two friends stand out the most. My friend Neha and my friend Natasha, where I walked into, you know, two of their events and I was like, holy shit. Like I know what this room looks like without all this stuff here. Yeah. And I get it, you know, at a certain dollar point, it does, you know, like it works. Yeah. And that's what we were kind of like going for the other side, where it's like, you know, we don't want to pump so much into decor, this and that. What ended up happening is just like the ballroom was taken. So now we have to do it back on venue site. So we have to deal with like you said, this beast of logistics. Yeah. And the one thing that we were kind of joking about is like Indian people are just sometimes so goddamn hard to work with. Yeah. They're so cocky. Yeah. And it's like, yo, I don't need this shit right now. You know, like I'm trying to, and that's what also helps with like.
In terms of vendors?
Yeah. Especially because like I need someone to just hold my hand for a little bit.
100%.
There's so many things I'm dealing with. There's so many like, you know, these 10 vendors I have that do 8 different things. Yeah. And you're like, you know, like, just being rude and like, oh, I'll get to you when I get to you. Like, bro, no, I'm terrified right now. You know, like, tell me, help me.
I think like that's the one thing with vendors, like specifically, like, you know, when people reach out to me, I text them immediately. I tell them, you know, I'm available. Let's get a quote together right now, and then let's get on a call. Like I expedite the process. Yeah. But some vendor, like the people that end up booking me, just like the fact I can expedite it, but they're like, oh, we reached out to like 4 photographers and we haven't heard back yet. I'm like, well, I'm here ready to work with you, but you rather have someone, you know, wait for it's just like, I totally get like you want a certain vision, but if there's a vendor that specifically like takes care of your needs first, I feel like they're going to take care of you during your wedding versus, you know, if they can't even reply back to your email, how do you imagine like 2 months before your wedding where like you need to finalize stuff and they're doing 10 more events, right? I always prioritize my clients. My clients, I know them. They're not a number on a spreadsheet. Yeah. That's why I make sure like they're a huge priority in my life.
So are you right now doing only photo, or are you photo and video?
Photo and video, yeah.
And team of one, or do you normally work with like subcontractors?
In terms, subcontractors, in terms of like the people that shoot for me shoot their own weddings, because I always like having the peace of mind of like, I don't have to direct them. I don't have to tell them do this or do that. They do their own weddings. They know how to conduct business. They know how to represent themselves. So I always make sure of that. And then, you know, in terms of everything, like I'm a one-man team. I do all the marketing, I do all the emails, I do all the editing, all that.
Yeah. So we've gone this far and we haven't even mentioned the name of your business. Like I feel like that's a big message.
So, Weekend Project Studios.
Okay. Yeah. How did that name come about?
That's actually a good question, because it's a good name for weddings, like weekend and there. Yeah. But like in high school, I was like trying to do videography, photography. I was doing everything like to get $1. My first like $1 came from my high school cheerleading boosters. They needed someone to film their dance competition. But like I can only edit. I only had time to edit on the weekends and make all the videos on the weekends. So that's weekend. And they're my projects, and then like studios, just whatever. But like that just like now it's just I have like, you know, my commercial business with a different name, but Weekend Project Studios is just strictly wedding. Oh, yeah.
Shit.
I just figure it was easier for like to separate the brands, just because like when anyone wants a wedding, they don't want to see a car commercial, right? So it's just like And it's easier for like a brand to come in. It's like, okay, we don't need to see weddings. Where's your like that? So keep them separate. I always recommend that for any freelancer starting out. If you're doing weddings, it would be easier for you just to have it 2 separate businesses.
So then do you have somewhere, and maybe it's like a YouTube page or somewhere, where all of these kind of threads come into one portfolio?
No, they're 2 separate.
Oh, okay.
Because if I want to part ways from weddings or anything like that, it's separate. I don't have to like tell people. But yeah, that's I always keep them separate. That's why I think I mentioned earlier, like all my friends that like follow me on my personal Instagram don't even know I have a wedding account.
That's insane.
They like Weekend Project Studio has no ties to like my Atit Amin like Instagram page. So like
I was going through your personal page and I saw like a lot of couple shoots, not a lot of couple shoots, but a handful of like maybe it was like a pregnancy shoot or something. I can't remember exactly, but have you stopped doing like some of those shoots where it's like maybe more personable and just
in my personal account, there's no couples on there.
Oh, okay.
But like in terms of the wedding, it's all like, we're trying to make all type of content. I've done that survey. I think I mentioned to you. I did a survey online, people just like, hey, what can I do in this industry that can be better and make it easier? And like, what am I doing wrong? Right. All that. 400 people applied because I did a giveaway attached to it, but a lot of good. But
I saw that you followed the Instagram page for the Christmas giveaway.
But like giveaways are in right now. But the thing is, I just wanted insight. I want people to take time out of their day just to tell me like what is people looking for, and everyone say like 99% of the things luckily said like you're not doing anything wrong. We actually want more behind the scenes content. We want to see you working actually, and these are couples, not just photographer, videographers. So I think that's the one thing I feel like when you mentioned someone holding your hand, like a lot of times photographer, videographers, I think they just post couples and not themselves, just because like it's never been easier to be a wedding photographer, videographer, but it's never been harder to stand out. So everything, like if you just type in hashtag Indian wedding on like social media.
Hold up, that was good. It's never been easier to be one.
Yeah,
but it's so hard to stand out.
Yeah.
Same thing, like it's almost like all the arts where like it's so easy to probably be
content is just like so easy to make. You can have AI to create your videos now, like so it's just like there's only one of you though. So there's just like millions of content, but one of you. So what defines you is you, right?
Yeah. So why do people want to look at your stuff? Hire you.
So I've been ramping up on like we're bringing behind the scenes people now and stuff like that. I got the new metas from Ray-Ban. It's just like I'm trying to conduct, but like at the same time, my tunnel vision is always not putting myself, first, and like obviously my couple. So we start like the last wedding I did in Punta Cana. We had like this whole idea for like let's do all these behind the scenes content, and it was like by ceremony day we were just so burnt out from the wedding. We're just like, they haven't filmed BTS. They're like, we haven't filmed BTS in 3 days, bro, since the Sangeet.
Sometimes that part annoys me though. Like when I see wedding planners have like separate people, that'll be like, hey bride, can you like do a twirl for content? And it's like, you're the wedding planner.
Yeah. It's not about you.
Shut up. Like go find out what my dad is doing or something like that. Like the photographer, sure. You come here, like this is your role.
Yeah.
But when these like sometimes these wedding planners, and I know some by name, but it's just like focus on the goal here.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Get on the side
I know
nice.
That's what I'm saying. I know like for planner and like content. That's the problem. What I mentioned is just like we have to define ourselves and the like showing like as a planner it's so hard because unless you see the planner work, like it's so hard to post on Instagram and just show the photo of like a table setup. Like anyone can do that, right? But you have to show a planner working. It's just I feel bad for them because like they don't want to be in that situation where they have to bring a film crew just to like film behind the scenes, but. We are left with no choice because anyone just like that plans a wedding, just like, I can do wedding planning now is just like there. And the referrals in the industry, how it is right now, we're in shambles right now because we're so comfortable during COVID where we lost our business. Everyone's on dating apps, everything like that, right? We had an influx of like business of, from people that, rescheduled their dates, but then we have influx of new couples that met during the pandemic. Now it's all back to normal. So we're just like, we have countless of wedding vendors and not enough couples to kind of fill that void.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there a forum that you know about that kind of like conducts these like almost surveys, like the Google Maps rating of wedding planners?
Yeah.
Like I've seen some, but
I've been approached, like I've seen online, like Wedding Wire and all that. They do these stats, but they don't want to cause a panic. But Facebook groups are mainly where I get my inside sources just because like we'll talk to only vendors and we're like doing like actual things on like, polls and stuff like that. It's like, who's struggling this year with weddings? And everyone's like 90% will be like, obviously we're struggling, like 10%, like, no, we're not struggling. But, I think the wedding industry in the whole is just like needs to be revamped in a way.
For someone that's like getting married, I'm not speaking for myself. I've already, I've already dug
you have the doomsday clock, 90 days.
I've already dug my hole. But like, is there a forum that someone else can go to and find like, okay, this wedding planner has these reviews?
Yeah, there's like so many websites. There's like, I won't name drop them just because like, there's so many, but I don't want, because there's always people that will approach me and be like, oh, $500 will put you top on the list. So if you're a bad vendor, $500, let me just go on top of those lists. And like, it's so hard because like I'm coming from a photo video perspective, but not from like a couple's perspective. I think referrals is so underutilized. It's just like testimonials, you probably booked so many of your vendors because of your friends, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I always like want to praise about is like the experience we give to not just my couples, but their families. You saw like from the videos on social media, like I'm there as your undercover guest. Like, I give everyone a good experience from, just guests to uncles and aunties, everyone comes up to me after the weddings, just like, like we felt like you were part of the wedding. I'm like, that's the plan. That was the mission. Point. And then like the camera becomes invisible for them. So I think it's really hard to say, like, to answer your question, is just like, there's so many ways to go about it, but you can't go off kind of like a list or reviews or something like that. I think the best way, and like most people don't want to do this, is just literally find the planner you want or whatever, find the couple on there and just DM on Instagram. It's like, hey, what's your honest feedback? We might consider it.
I tried reaching out to a couple and being like, hey, what did you think of like this venue or like this planner? And then, it's just.
But the thing is, like, I realized, running a business, I'm not a perfect business. I had, a couple bad clients, here and there, and just like, they won't write a bad review about you because they're embarrassed that they picked you as your vet.
Oh, what?
So it's just like a lot of bad things that happen. Like I had this one couple reach out to me asking, I have so many couples asking me, can we re-edit a video? We didn't find you till after our wedding, but they've dealt with bad vendors. I'm like, you should really post a review so people,
they know
they don't get screwed over. Like I had this really big photographer, has like over 150,000 followers on Instagram. This couple booked them and they're like, yeah, he's sending the B team, C team. Red flag right there. They reached out to me like a month before their weddings, like, can we book you? I was already booked, but like, we're not hearing from our videographer now. Like, he hasn't booked the flights yet or anything like that. And then all of a sudden during their destination wedding, their team got COVID. And then they apparently had the worst video of all time, but I think I don't know what happened afterwards, but I told him, you really should post it because this guy's getting more gigs because he's getting more followers. He's getting posted on Vogue. Like people are going to be, okay getting the B to C team, whatever. But they're just like, this is just too embarrassing for us.
Yeah. So personally, I don't find it embarrassing. Like I made the mistake of hiring this person. Yeah. I feel almost like too nice. Yeah. To be like, I don't want to fuck up your business.
Yeah. No, a lot of people do that.
Tell you, right? Like, hey man, you really missed a step. Even when I go to restaurants and stuff, and sometimes like the food's this or that, and I'm like, the waitress will come over. Hey, how was everything? I'm like, hey, like this is how it actually was. Yeah. I'm not gonna leave you like a 1-star review unless like things went actually bad. Yeah. But that's where it's like I don't want to hurt your business. They don't
want to be that person. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I guess intention matters.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like a lot of people don't put out that type of dirt just because they don't want to be that person or they don't want fingers pointed at them. Just like, oh, you're just being a Karen. A lot of people never write a bad review. So like, let alone be in that situation, you got screwed over by someone. It's like that's the part of the industry that doesn't get talked about. Just because you see 99 positive reviews and no bad ones, that's a red flag right there. It's just like, all right, someone's not speaking out.
There has to be something, right? It's impossible.
Like I'll admit right now, I have people that weren't happy with my services. Yeah. Like I've done that. Every business owner has, sometimes, things don't work right. My issue with right now and like in the past is like turnaround times. I'm a one-man person. I'm doing a lot of people's weddings and, burnout and all that. There's a lot of things like factor in, like, as a one-person creative. And a lot of people just want their photos and videos, and turnaround times have been like the biggest problem for me. And luckily, like I was able to bring it down. Now I'm under double digits for like the backlog. Yeah, but a lot of our clients, they see like, all the no, but like they see, that's what I'm saying. They see all the experience I gave them.
Yeah.
And then I give them the same, like the different love for another client. They see same day edits, all the other content. And then they're like, we did our wedding 4 months ago. Like, why aren't we getting the same love and attention? So it kind of hurts them a little bit because they're like, all right, we're now just patiently waiting, and they're seeing other people's stuff. So it's like mentally you're just like patient, but at the same time you're like, hurry up, Atit.
Have you done a podcast before?
No. Well, I did one podcast like a while back.
You should definitely start one. We were talking about like how sometimes you gotta like go on these bits, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're doing awesome. So I wanted to ask you about like kind of like the virality, because that's what matters, right? In Los Angeles, you gotta pop. You gotta pop. You gotta get in front of eyes. And I saw that wedding fail video you had recently, and a friend had sent it after I had already seen it on your page, and I'm like, damn, you know, these clips get around. Yeah. And so when you have something like that pop, and maybe I can like overlay it in the video, but when you have clips like that pop, how do you kind of take advantage of it? How do you kind of like capitalize on that?
And that's the thing. So it's just like that video had 8 million views, I think, as of today. And I knew like the photographer, he posted like the first day, like the next day after the wedding, he posted like the iPhone clip of it, and that video got 100 million views. On Instagram.
Is it on TikTok or?
It's Instagram Reels. Okay. Like the photographer posted it, but like the thing is with viral videos is like, yes, you saw like your friend share it, right? Yeah. But in terms of monetizing the business aspect of it, most people like that video alone was specifically just a moment, right? They're going to just share it to their homeboy. They're not really going to book you because of like a viral video. They're not going to see the work and all that. But I've done it differently. Like before that, I had over like 15 million views on my Instagram and like impressions and stuff like that. I had viral videos going off. Like, so the first viral video for me on TikTok was 2021. That's how I'm, able to get that first Indian wedding I mentioned. I mentioned about like, I did a video where I'm just like what people think of me when I say I'm a wedding videographer, photographer, but what I'm actually am. It was just like, and that video went so viral where like, I got inquiries from all over the place, but it was mainly sort of knowing my demographic.
I saw this. The dudes, you had like these small clips of like, old school Indian pictures, and then it was like
that was the one on Instagram, but I did another one on TikTok. But I remade that to that one. That one did 1 million views and like 100,000 likes. But I just came up with like just the fact is like you want people to understand like what's the end goal here, right? Luckily, Instagram has just released a new update about like trying your stuff, but you always want that next viral clip because like I will say when I had like 4,000 followers on Instagram for my wedding page, it was so hard for people to justify the price tag for some reason. Now they see like I'm at 17K and like people like, oh, this is a brand now. Yeah. So I think like a lot of people say, oh, followers don't matter. I think it like. I feel like when you're like looking at, it's just like it does affect, a negative way in terms of
impression, right? Like even when I first went to your business page and my fiance was already following you, a couple of friends in Dallas were already following you, and I was like, damn, like oh shit, like I was like, okay, man, I believe this guy. Now, I believe the product. And that's how simple it is. Where if you see friends that you also, like people that you're friends with also follow this person, it's like, oh, I trust the product. Yeah. But then, so a clip goes viral and stuff. Is there like, okay, you know what? Now we got to keep going on this, or
it gives you a thrill. But like I think like when I had like 4 viral videos back to back on Instagram, I just like was getting bookings and also like finally getting the number and recognition I needed to kind of keep going. But then you're falling in the trap of like next video that didn't go viral. Yeah. And then like it just puts you in mental strands like, oh, what I did wrong, this and that. But like the factor is Instagram wants you to have that mindset. Social media in general want you have that mindset, so you keep pumping out content.
Crackhead behavior.
So just like you give the crackhead crack, he's just going to keep making crack, like happen. So it's just like they want you to keep posting content, but at the same time, I don't let the numbers affect me. It still does when I see a video of any post that doesn't, get to my liking. But a true artist like paints because he wants to paint, not because someone wants to pay for the painting. That's why I've learned a quote. I don't know where I heard from.
Now, there's even like a bunch of studies around that where, around like children and drawing and stickers and like if you don't give them a reward at all, they'll actually continue to do it. Yeah. But if you take away the reward, it's like they'll stop sometimes. Yeah. And so I can see that a lot of times when a certain video goes viral. I do a lot of clips of like certain things, and The Indian content always gets more of attraction. I think I've pigeonholed myself sometimes into that. And it's like, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But when one of those clips get, and I'm not doing anything close to like millions, but like 10K views, you know? And then the next clip does 500. And then, okay, you know what? I'm going to edit this one a lot. I'm going to add all these graphics and sounds and, you know, movement. Then I post it and it's like 10 views. And it's like,
that's what I'm saying.
What do I have
and
to
I've
do
learned
here?
like the more amateur the video goes, like the more viral it gets. Like that's why I start like all my viral videos. Like I'm gonna give like people a little secret, like I guess if you want a viral wedding video, but like
please.
It's just like I always post like an iPhone clip to start out. And then, you know, it just gets people to stop for some reason. And then it goes to like the actual wedding highlight and like it's a professional video. The professional videos never go viral, but the actual like highlighted, like the iPhone video starting out the clip, it just gets that 5 seconds what Instagram needs. You need 5 seconds. If you get the hook is all of it, right? The first 5 seconds, if you can catch someone, that's what it is. I always like to think like if I had to give this video to like a regular person on the street, would he watch it for more than 5 seconds? So it's just like Mr. Beast always like, that's why I've been like studying like a lot about Mr. Beast and all that. He figured it out where you can hook someone for a 25-minute video because he never like he has the attention rate down to a science. Yeah. But it's all about that. But at the same time, we as an artist, like both of us, like we don't want to focus on retention rates, right? We would just want to make our art.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And especially as like a team of one, you have to just constantly be doing it, constantly be doing it. I was telling, I always praise Mr. Beast, almost to a weird extent where people don't watch him, and I'm just like, you have no idea how much of a genius this dude is.
Yeah, he started from counting from 0 to 1,000,000 or something, and just like, you know, the fact is like he worked. Everyone called him delusional when he first started, and now everyone calls him genius.
But even now, right? Like in the YouTube atmosphere, he could put out a video and it'll do 100 million, you know. But
and that's what he says when a video doesn't get 100 million. He says that's a flop.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're always like changing it. Okay, you know what? Change the cover picture to this. Change the cover picture to this. Okay, we need to take off this time. And it's like you have to be that, you know, like scientifical, where every single scientifical, whatever the word I'm looking for here, where precise. You keep looking at all this stuff, and then boom, you know, it works.
I bet you, like he said, he would never make a course, but that's the first course I'm buying.
Dude, it's awesome. And especially in the age of social media where, like you said, right, you figured out somehow that the iPhone video is what will draw people. Yeah. Maybe it's something about that it's not too professional. Yeah. It's not too HD, you know, but you still have to give them a product where it's like, this is actually, you know, you can't create this.
But the one problem is also like Instagram, whatever, all social media platforms, they push the content out to your followers first. And if your followers don't like that content, a lot of like my followers, that's the problem. It's just like I've gained so much followers, whereas just like now I gain like maybe 2,000 to 3,000 followers that are actually just following me just to follow, but not have any intentions to support my business. And that's actually hurting me actually now. It's like hostage situation where it's just like I put like a content out, and if you don't like it, it's now going to hurt my business. It's like if like Amazon's like if you put something in your shopping cart, and like if you don't buy it, then like it's using up something and like it's costing the business something. But it doesn't like that. It doesn't help me if you're following me, seeing the content and not liking it, and it hurts just a little bit because you can't really grow out of that because now you're just like posting the same content. Instagram's like, oh, this post is going worse. This post is going worse, and then you can't.
That's interesting, right? So then you have to keep on doing some of these like gimmicky videos, where it's like you said, one of your first viral videos, like what people think versus what I am, and I think that's also why all these businesses keep doing like, oh, this went viral, let's you know, like let's copy that and do that. But then it's like I don't want to keep, you know, I don't want to keep.
I just want to post wedding videos. You know what I'm saying? Like that, where like I just need a wedding, like people that follow me just to follow me for like to support and grow the content, grow the business out. Because I don't buy followers. That's the one thing I would never do. Even though if I buy 30,000 followers, it will help my business so much. I would not do that because you can hide likes now. You can hide all that. So it's just like people don't know if it's like, you know, fake or whatnot. But that's the one thing I will always.
Because you could buy the likes also, right?
Yeah, you can do that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people like fake their brand, and you know, good for them. You know, I like as I mentioned, I've done my fair share of like lying and faking to get started. But you know, that's the one thing I only do honorable things like, you know, making sure I can grow on my own and not have to worry about, you know, social media followers and like that. Part of me is just like, I kind of like delete Instagram and just run my business without social media and figure out the size because there's photographers that can do it without it. And they do great.
Damn.
They're just like old school people that just like, you know, my wedding planner connections, my referrals, they're always going to be in business.
But do you monetize Instagram at all, or YouTube, or TikTok, or anything?
No.
And can you? Like, have you got to that point?
Yeah. I do like. There's a thing you have. It's like, I guess the OnlyFans of Instagram, I guess you call it. But you have the pay subscription model. So a lot of people that want behind the scenes content and stuff like that, because I don't want to post like camera tech stuff to like my non-camera people. So I have a channel dedicated, like a free channel dedicated for that. But a lot of like wedding photographers follow that still too. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post boring shit on here. You guys have to like.
I was imagining more of like this like TikTok creator program.
Yeah.
Where if you have a certain number of followers and stuff.
No, like one of my friends, they're full-time TikTokers. She made $10K off one video because it went, I think semi-viral you can call it, but she made a video about like transforming her like regular boring apartment to like this cool like studio lab.
Yeah.
And one just viral. I was just like, I thought all of the products she bought like were like sponsored, but she's like, no, I just bought them after this video went viral.
Yeah. Tell me more about your LA life. Like, how have you enjoyed being in this crazy ass city?
I love it because like growing up in Pittsburgh, not growing up, but like living in Pittsburgh for like it has like a poor set mindset where it's just like if you're doing something, everyone just thinks you're delusional. Like the perfect example is like I was filming a TikTok on the street in Pittsburgh. And everyone's just like, why is he filming like this? You do this right here in Los Angeles, no one bats an eye. So it's just like it's a growth mindset here as well. But so like I said, I keep the wedding business and my personal business like so separate. Like one of my friends from college, he was on the show 2 Out of Handle on Netflix. So after that, he has his own like he was overnight influencer. He got like 500,000 followers like literally overnight. But yeah, we made a lot of connections, a lot of like influencer friends that do like the social medias and whatnot. But when I moved out here, he crashed at my place, and I got connected with his friends, and I had this double life, like this Hannah Montana lifestyle, right? I do weddings, that's how I make my bread and butter, and then I have this whole like going to like Instagram party like there, and like going to like all these influencer events. They're like, wow, you're like with that guy.
Have you thought about like merging those personalities?
100%, but like the one thing is just like I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to go about it, but I need to stop overthinking doing it. But I think right now my focus is just getting this backlog cleared out, and it'll give me a free rein to like do anything I want. But I think the one thing is I'm not trying to tell myself into the wedding photo business where just like, okay, this is Atit Amin, we know about you, but I want the work to kind of just like sell itself rather than me.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm not trying to be like an influencer on my wedding page, but I'm more than happy to
be known for your work.
Yeah. So
because I'm kind of dealing with that where I have a corporate job.
Yeah.
I have a corporate gig. I can't say some of the stuff I say on the podcast out there because you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. And even when sometimes people are like, well, you have a podcast? And when I post stuff, I get so nervous where it's like, what if they see this too? What if they see a clip of me doing this or that?
My other friend like was bringing up the same point. He works at I guess I can't name drop it, but
in tech company or
I would say tech company. Okay. But he works in the space, and he has this whole fitness thing. He did the 75 hard. He wants to be like not really so like be the influencer, but it's just like 75 hard is really hard for most dude. Like that's the whole challenge, the whole cult thing going on there. But if he makes content to help people, he's just like, I'm just scared of my work season. My mentality is like, this is you, end of the day, right? That's why like people always on my social media is like, you should only post wedding, you should never post yourself. And I'm just like, those people, I'm like, I'm the most unhinged vendor there is, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a filter. I'm crazy. I am very like, it's me. Like, if I don't showcase that and I show up at a wedding, like, it's just like, they get what they know, like, because I post myself, they know what they're signing up for. So the same thing I think applies for anything. If you're trying to just do something outside your normal 9 to 5, it's you end of the day. It's your personality.
I think people need a face.
Yeah.
People do need a face. Yeah. Like even all of this stuff, right? Even companies, brands, all that stuff. When there's a face, there's like a movement behind it, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, X, like all that stuff. And honestly, when I was going through your page, I was like, what does this dude look like? Yeah. I was like, I need to actually find, and I think I went through like either the wedding website itself or your profile, either that video.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's a necessity. Like, okay, I see this dude, like I I visually trust it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Like I said, like when you're planning your wedding right now, you see a name of a business, say like we're in just that business, you just feel like there's only like personality, right?
Yeah.
But like if you see like, okay, the head Weekend Project Studios, the guy who started is talking to me, like, no, there's no assistant or anything like that. You feel definitely already more comfortable, but at the same time, you're just like, all right, this is not just a no-face business, right? This is a small business with personality and all that. I think it factors into anything you do. It's just like people want you for you, not because, you know, they want that product or whatever.
As you've been living your LA life, where do you feel like the portfolio is going? I guess your work, where, you know, I know you said like you want to direct, be in the film space, but like, what does that half look like right now? It does have to be immediate, right?
And I think like last couple of years, I think I forgot my why, and I got burnt out. Like creative burnout's a real thing. If you guys don't know about it, you guys really need to take care of everything. Like that's the thing. But I got really burnt out last couple of years. I'm, you know, going back to your why. Remember you got that video I edited for so I just stemmed to the problem, like the whole validation thing. But I think as a creative, I just want my art to be appreciated. So I think if it's like a form of like weddings to feature film or anything like that, I think building a personal brand and like having something like that to always go back to, I think that's something I need to work on. And I think after this whole backlog and just, you know, able to get more time, I brought my schedule down from like I used to do 30 weddings a year to 10 now.
Okay.
And that plays a huge factor. Like this year and the last year were like my best years just because I had more space and time to get this backlog done and situated. But I think next year when I have literally edit the film, shoot a wedding, edit the film the next week and get it done, like that type of vibe, I have so much more free time where I can work on myself and like make content that I actually want to make.
So like, what does that look like? Like short films or?
I think I want to make like vlogs and stuff like that. I think I'll should like, you know, I'm a big tech guy. I love talk, I guess like talk, but like same time, I just like making people happy. So it's just, and like Casey Neistat was my biggest inspiration. I followed Casey Neistat before he was like a daily vlogger. I followed him when he had 100,000 subscribers. Like he's the one reason I got into filmmaking and all that too, is just because it's you know, when you heard about filmmaking, you know, back then, you're like, oh, yeah, film degree, this and that. Casey was making videos on YouTube, and this is before, like, oh, I thought you had to be like a big like PewDiePie to make money and all of that. So it's just like Casey was getting paid to do commercials, and like was getting paid on New York Times to do short videos on YouTube. I'm like, if this guy can do it, I can do it, right? Yeah. So that's the whole mentality. That Casey,
with no like actual art degree.
Yeah, so Casey was like literally, I spray painted my glasses in high school to like, he was a big inspiration. Yeah. Still a big inspiration now for me, for sure. But like the fact is, like no matter what video you posted, like David Dobrik was also a big inspiration, just because like no matter what video I watched, it always made me smile.
I know.
So it's just trying to figure out who am I as a person. That way I can just be me and not have to make something I'm not. Because I think that this one is like Steal Like an Artist is a good book. Just because it's not really so you're stealing directly copy and paste, but still the thinking behind why this person did this for a certain thing.
So because they figure something out that you don't need to spend your time, you know, like why run into that failure? I follow this, like I follow a handful of like big YouTubers, Mr. Beast, Audacity and stuff like that. There's this dude, Beard Meets Food. Yep. You know, and he just does these food challenges. You know, he's like, you know, the evolution of man versus him, but he's on a YouTube channel, and it's like, oh, you could have just been on TV, but now this is where the movement is, right? Everyone's on YouTube, and every single one of his videos are the same format. Yeah. But he's just always doing some, like, he's just at a different restaurant. And it's like, oh, you figured out, like, you've mastered this. Yeah. And it's working, obviously, because you have all this traction. Yeah. So sometimes when I'm watching some of these guys, and it's like, oh, you know, like, but I haven't spent enough time with, you know, trying to do the corporate job, trying to get in shape, trying to, you know, do wedding planning and stuff where, do I just find someone on Fiverr? Yeah, like just let someone else deal with it? Because if you don't do it, you're just gonna die.
Yeah. For the listeners, should I be talking this close? My bad about the audio. Hopefully, you actually even can't even tell what happens. But what were we talking about? We were talking about your ex, but we'll go back off camera. But I guess we were talking about like where are you going? Like,
my path.
You want to get into because I'm trying to make this a little bit more selfish.
100%.
No, I'm trying to like figure out. I was talking to a friend yesterday about like if you want success in LA, you have to have like it has to be like a movement. You know, you have to have a couple people around you, and like it's this wave of things. So have you started like putting like a team together, like, oh, we're gonna do these short films, or I'm gonna start doing Nike content or whatever it is?
Yeah, the quote that still lingers today is show me your friends, I'll show you your future. That's the one. Like, I was more motivated when I had people from like the like my 2 Out to Handle friends, like all of them were just on their grind, because they're all like after the show, like you're on your own, like you have to build your own like thing. Like Harry Giles is like one of the best, like one from the show. He got on the show, took advantage of there, and now people don't even know he's connected to How to Handle. That's the one thing. So like every single influencer that, Netflix gifted them, a following, right? So it's your job to now monetize on that. A lot of people, like my friend, unfortunately, now he started a podcast, but my best friend, he for a long time was just trying to figure out, what can I monetize? What do I actually like doing? He manifested like, the fame and all that. He's just like, I always wanted to be famous. He got the fame, and, he's just like, now what? Like, so it's the same thing. Like I would say for me, it's just like, all right, I am financially free. I can do whatever I want. I can move to Hawaii if I wanted to tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I think like I mentioned off camera, is just like, my confidence level in terms of posting and just being myself has been on the low for some reason for me. I feel like it has nothing to do with like, I'm not depressed or anything. It's just like, I just feel like I need to be my delusional self again. It's just like post whatever and hope someone watches. But it's just trying to not be someone else. I think that's what's holding me back. Because my entire life growing up is just like, I had to lie and fake until like I made it, just so I like, felt like I fitted in, right? Yeah. But now I felt like in terms of the last like 4 or 5 years, I finally feel like myself. I finally feel I don't need to be someone else to do something like that.
Wait till you're 30.
Yeah.
Wait till you're 30.
3 years.
Wait till you're 30.
I'll have maybe I should do a doomsday climb for 30.
You really should. Because like, and by no means was I producing at the output that you are currently at 27. Yeah. But I always had this thing where I was like, as soon as I turn 30, it's over. Like I'm done. And weirdly enough, year by year, the confidence and delusion has only gone up. And I think it's just like this letting go of just like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Whatever people say, they can say. Yeah. Like with podcasting, I'm at the point where it can't fail. Like it's this weird gray area where when you first start off, you can fail, right? Yeah. You stop before 10 episodes, 20 episodes, whatever it is. Yeah. And now it's like, none of my friends that started podcasts will ever catch up to me. Yeah. Like unless they're pumping way more money and time, it's all an equation, right? Yeah. If you put more money or you put more time in it, 100%. You will beat whoever else is doing it for more longer. Yeah. But I've gotten to this area where no one else will catch up to me. Yeah. But like this has to go somewhere. Yeah. This has to go somewhere. So what do I do? What do I change? And that's the part that I'm like still having friction with. Yeah. But I need to put in more time or more something to get it off of the ground. Like, but I'm 30. Yeah. So, and I was talking to my brother-in-law where it's like, this has to happen now. Like I could put all this podcast and stuff on hold during this wedding planning, but if I do, April comes around and then I'm like, shit, like I lost X amount of followers, or, the muscles have just diminished. So you have to literally stay on the horse. Yeah. And by 30, I say this now, right? By 38, 35, whatever it is, this has to be something. Yeah. Or else then it's like, okay, now this is a hobby. Yeah. This isn't like something you're aspiring to do. This has just become like oh yeah, he has a vlog. Yeah. It's like, or sorry, not a vlog, a podcast. Yeah. So I only tell you, just keep on doing what you're doing, man. It's working. It's working, obviously, because
you need to hear that from other people. Because like the thing is, just like I can tell myself, look in the mirror every day and say you're doing great. But at the same time, if you don't feel great, then like no matter how many times you look in the mirror, just like nothing changes, right? So I think the one thing I think holding me back is just like, what kind of content do people want to see, and like how can I make content that actually I enjoy making and people actually want to watch? Is I think that's the one thing. One friend told me, and like I didn't take her up on the advice, but she gave me the best advice. She's like, as long as you be yourself, there will always be an audience. Yeah. And like the one thing is, I'm like I don't take gratitude is the one thing that last couple of years I've been preaching on, because I'd never really appreciated what like I built, but at the same time I have like all these like brown photographer videographers that all constantly DM me, and it was just like, hey, I never really wanted to do weddings, and I saw your video and your work. I was just like,
and you're like, stay away, get the hell away from my business.
No, they're just like, everyone's just like, I didn't think like wedding videos can be this cool. I didn't think like being a wedding vendor was actually cool. And like, you know, those, like, I screenshot those messages and like keep it in a folder. But like at the same time, I'm just like, you have to hear, you don't want to like lie to yourself or be cocky and say, yeah, I'm doing like, you know, big things. I'm like inspiring the industry, but you know, you have to hear it from other people to, like, for that.
You don't realize who you're inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like the praise is nice. And you only know the shit that you're dealing with, right?
Even
like,
when people come up to me at a wedding, it's like, wow, that's a great video. It's just like most, and it's not just me, it's an artist thing. It's just like a lot of people don't kind of want to hear it for some reason. They're just like, well, thank you, bye. And like, then you just like had to take a step back. Are they just saying it to say it, or like, you know, a lot of photographers, like, I'm not the only one. A lot of people would not like compliments for some reason, but I'm such an attention whore where I'm just like, appreciate it.
I agree, right? Where it's like, I want the appreciation, but I don't want you to verbally tell me.
Yeah.
I just want to see you enjoying it.
Ben Affleck is like the perfect example because, you know, he hates paparazzi. He hates being famous. But his one quote, like he said, I remember him saying, is just like, his thing is to have an audience to watch his films. It's going to be meaningless to be an actor in movies if you can't there. But, you know, that's the one thing. He's a true artist for sure, because, you know, how can he be a A-list actor and hate being famous? Like, you know, but he did it because he wanted to do it, not because he wanted the fame attached to it. But, you know, that's the one thing, is just like, I want to continue to do this, but at the same time, Shah Rukh Khan had like the better quote. He's just like, a reporter asked him like,
he's like, no, I spent a lot of time
putting this in. I want kids to take photos. I want people to rip my clothes off my back. I'm like, damn, that's me actually.
I've weirdly gotten like, I'm being borderline here, but I've weirdly gotten into Shah Rukh Khan so much more over the past 5 years, where it's like, I love this dude. You know, I'm so much more appreciative of like all of these movies he was a part of and all that stuff, and who he is as a personality. And it's strange, but it's like, what, you know, it's just being an older person, a different person now.
100%.
When you're on Instagram and all that stuff, do you ever catch yourself, and this has happened with me more so being in LA as I've been creating, is do you catch yourself in that rabbit hole of like, oh, they did this and it worked, you know, like, why, like, why
rabbit hole is always going to be a thing, especially I learned not to compare myself like early on, just because like I said, I really need to go. But if we had the 2017-year-old in this room 2017, he would be like the most cocky motherfucker you ever met. But it's just like, the fact is, he was just cocky in a humble way, where he's just like, I'm good, I'm great. But like comparison will always be the factor. There's this one wedding videographer right now, for example. You know, all he does, like, he got like 5 back-to-back viral videos. All he did was, you know, get his laptop off, play his wedding film, and just, you know, take a video of it, and said, POV, you hired a filmmaker to film your wedding, and it's just that, and went viral. And then you're just like, what the fuck? This kid just came out of nowhere. I put the work into it, and I feel like a lot of people, that's why a lot of photographer videographers probably hate me in that sense of things, because, you know, people that are like 35, 40, they're just like looking at me as like a, you know, kid coming in. But, you know, there's not saying I'm taking food off people's tables, because I created my own demographic. My clients book me because they want me. So a lot of photography videographers don't like that, though. The fact is, they think I'm stealing from them, or I don't deserve anything, all that. So I think comparison is not good. I think you just need to, you know, be confident in yourself. And you don't have to look. If you have a tunnel vision on yourself, you don't have to look at anyone else's food.
Get better than yesterday. Yeah. And it's tough though. Sometimes, like, I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I see like some of these brown comedians and stuff, and I'm just like, that's what's working nowadays. Yeah.
But at the same they're time, putting in that work. It's all about like luck and preparation. You know, that's all the thing is. Like, posting content, you never know what's going to go viral. So it's just like, it's like a you know, casino. You know what I'm saying? You play the game, you win the prize, right? So like but that's the thing, the one quote I said, the earliest thing from the podcast, just like, if they could do it, why can't you do it? And so it's just like, what is they're doing differently than you? Nothing, but all they're doing is just being consistent and posting content.
More effort, you know? It doesn't matter if you're more talented. You just have to put in effort. You have to clip up stuff and do all that.
And that's why I never blame for anything that, because everything I've done in my life, I had full control. So if anything I'm lacking, like if I didn't get more bookings, if I don't have more, it's all me. I haven't been consistent on posting. I haven't been consistent with myself, health, mental, whatever all that is, all on me. There's no one that said, you know, slapped me with a wrist and said, I'm taking this away from you. So like, for your example, is just like, in terms of like podcasts, all this, you've done something that you could have easily said, no, I'll do that after the wedding, all that. You're still putting the work in, even when you had like, all the circumstances in front of you. So it's going to have a bigger payoff for sure. But as long as you're enjoying the process, the payoff will come. That's what everyone keeps telling me. It's a hypocrite advice because I don't really see it, and if I don't see the results as well, but it's like Mr. Beast said it, and like when he had no followers, right? He said the followers were going to come.
Yeah, and you do actually have to fall in love with like
the failure,
just the thing. Yeah, like okay, what I do enjoy doing this. Like the editing and all that stuff, but those are pieces that I can get rid of. I can get someone on Fiverr and do all that stuff. Like the social media piece for me is where it's like, this is what I'm missing, so I need to do X, Y, and Z. So that's stuff I'm still trying to figure out. And I'm pretty communicative, like through the podcast where I'm just like, this is what I'm working on. I don't know shit. I'm not any better than you or any of that stuff. I'm just doing this right now. I have one more question for you, and then I'll throw it over to you before we close it out. But if someone is getting into photography, videography, whether it's wedding, non-wedding, do you have a recommended like setup to go to, maybe on a low budget scale and then a high budget scale?
Low budget, just whatever you have. I started with the iPhone. A lot of other photographer videographers would tell you the same thing. Whatever you have is, like I said, it's never been easier to become a photographer videographer. Like, our iPhones are being able to shoot movies off of. Like I had an RCA when I first started out, one of those flip cameras. Yeah. Like I had the knockoff RCA version of it. Like that was my first camera. So it's just like, starting out, you can really go, there's a big budget, whatever. But I'll say whatever you're doing, just do whatever you can with it now. And, once you start able to upgrade, stuff like that. The whole Canon versus Sony debate, I think it's just like a pointless just meme at this point. But a lot of people take offense to that. But it's like the tools like Milwaukee and like that other one. So it's just like if you're not going to talk about power drills, a carpenter is not going to be defined by his power drill brand, right? So the same thing, Canon, Sony, just like pick whatever and whatever. I always tell my shooters, a lot of my shooters shoot Sony, and I'm just like, whatever you're comfortable with and what you're confident in. I can operate my Canon blindfolded,
right?
And like that will allow me to focus on what's actually important. So it's just like camera settings, all that. You can have a whole spiel on that, but I just feel like whatever you're most confident in is going to define you the best.
What about like the actual like the lens part of it that people should?
I always like I said, like more so if you have like a bigger budget, like definitely primes. I use a lot of primes. But aperture is a big thing. Aperture is how you get the fancy bokeh sharpness, all of that. But as much of like a tech nerd, I always stay away from camera conversations. This is a first for me because I really have to think about it. I'm like, what camera is good? I use Canon. Like, Canon like never sponsored me or anything.
You don't even have to be right, It's just sometimes it helps hearing from someone that does like, okay, I see that you have this content. Yeah. So I want to start.
But that's the problem. I think like that's the issue when people see other people's gear, because I have so many friends that like were happy with Canon, and then their one favorite artist is like, oh, he used Sony, I'm gonna use Sony now. I feel like just because someone uses a certain gear, and like a lot of people are miserable after that. They're like, I'm going back to Canon after this or this and that. But like I said, it's more so whatever you're comfortable and confident in, because at the end of the day, like I said, a carpenter isn't defined by his tools. Yeah. So it's just at the end of the day, they are just tools.
You're a big quote guy. Yeah. You're a big quote guy. I've noticed that. And I am too, but I was just like, damn, how does he remember all this shit? Like,
no, I just came up with that one just on the spot. That one there. I don't know. It's like when you're in down bad or anything like that, you just remember quotes. But yeah. All
right. I'll throw it over to you, my man. If you don't have anything, it's all good.
I think I think we're
all right. Perfect. So, any last thing for the camera? Like, give your business a shout out, all that stuff.
Give me a follow, give me a like. Weekend Project Studios, Atit Amin.
Yes, Weekend Project Studios. You guys, please actually go check them out. It's actually solid. I'm not even just like front because he's sitting next to me. With all that being said, I do appreciate you being here, my man. Hopefully, I see more of you in the LA area, because I'm trying to get out of here slowly, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. I think the camera's actually about to shut down, so I will see you guys next time, and goodbye.
Sweet.
Nice. Perfect.